In a league synonymous with excess, where teenage millionaires routinely bankrupt themselves on diamond chains and depreciating supercars, a shadow class of superstars operates differently. From billionaires hunting for Wi-Fi signals to finals MVPs driving rusted trucks, these are the 10 extremely rich black NBA players who famously live like they are poor. Number 10. Trey Burke, the $5,000 man. When Trey Burke was selected 9th overall in the 2013 NBA draft, he was immediately handed the keys to a kingdom most people only dream of. The expectation for a top 10 pick is immediate and visible consumption. The entourage, the jewelry, and the sprawling mansion. The statistics regarding broke former athletes are terrifying, with some estimates suggesting that 60% of NBA players face financial hardships within 5 years of retirement. Burke looked at those numbers and decided he would not become a statistic. Despite signing a rookie-scale contract that guaranteed him millions of dollars over his first few years, Burke instituted a financial lockdown that baffled his peers. He placed himself on a strict, non-negotiable allowance of $5,000 a month. To the average person, $5,000 is a healthy amount of money. But in the context of the NBA, where a single table at a nightclub can cost $10,000, Burke was essentially living on minimum wage relative to his income bracket. This $5,000 had to cover everything. It wasn't just fun money. It was his operating budget for food, gas, clothing, and daily essentials. If he wanted a new pair of designer shoes, he had to check his balance. If he wanted to treat friends to dinner, he had to calculate the cost. It was a self-imposed scarcity designed to simulate the real world while his actual millions sat in investment accounts, compounding untouched. Burke's philosophy was simple. If he could learn to be happy and functional on a budget that didn't require an NBA salary, he would never be beholden to the game. While other rookies from the class of 2013 were leasing fleets of cars and burning through their signing bonuses, Burke was building a financial runway. He understood that the hardest position to play in professional sports isn't point guard. It is the role of the disciplined man who says no to the lifestyle the world expects him to live. Number 9. Grant Hill. The old money mindset. Grant Hill entered the NBA in the 1990s not just as a player, but as a brand. Dubbed the next Michael Jordan, he had the massive Fila endorsement deal, the Detroit Pistons contract, and the global fame. By all accounts, Hill should have been the poster child for 90s extravagance. However, Hill came from a unique background that inoculated him against the new money virus. Hill understood the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is the player who signs the check. Wealthy is the person who owns the team. To bridge that gap, Hill operated with a level of financial discipline that was almost militant. When he signed his first multi-million-dollar contract, he didn't head to the Ferrari dealership. He headed to a meeting with his parents. Together, they established a budget that treated his massive NBA income as if it didn't exist. His spending money was capped strictly, creating a firewall between his lifestyle and his principal capital. Hill drove modest vehicles and famously avoided the heavy gold chains and flashy jewelry that dominated the aesthetic of 90s basketball. He viewed these items not as status symbols, but as leaks in his financial ship. This wasn't just about saving for a rainy day. It was about capital allocation. Hill treated his NBA career as a high-yield funding round for his second career. Because he lived below his means for 2 decades, he was able to transition seamlessly into the business world upon retirement. Today, Grant Hill is not just a former player. He is a partial owner of the Atlanta Hawks and a broadcasting mogul. His net worth is estimated at over $250 million. He didn't live like he was poor because he had to. He lived that way so he could eventually sit in the owner's box of the league that used to employ him. Number 8. Andre Iguodala, the Silicon Valley monk. Andre Iguodala is perhaps the most sophisticated financial mind to ever play in the NBA. During his tenure with the Golden State Warriors, he found himself physically located in the heart of global wealth creation, the San Francisco Bay Area. While his teammates were focused on the court, Iguodala realized that the real game was happening in the boardrooms of the tech startups surrounding the arena. Iguodala didn't just want to invest, he wanted to be respected by the venture capitalists building the future. To do that, he had to strip away the dumb jock stereotype. He adopted a lifestyle of extreme modesty relative to his income, often referred to as his monk phase. He openly discussed the shock of his early career spending, realizing that dropping thousands on designer clothes was a fool's game. He pivoted aggressively. Iguodala began reading books on asset allocation and market caps instead of browsing luxury catalogs. He drove practical cars and wore nondescript clothing to meetings on Sand Hill Road, blending in with the tech investors rather than standing out as a celebrity. He famously consolidated his life, cutting out the noise of luxury to focus on stacking paper for the long haul. This frugality allowed him to funnel significant portions of his salary into high-risk, high-reward tech seeds. He was an early investor in juggernauts like Zoom, Cloudflare, and Datadog before they became household names. He co-founded the Players Technology Summit, teaching other athletes how to secure their financial futures. Iguodala didn't want to be the guy with the coolest car in the parking lot. He wanted equity in the apps on everyone's phone. By living modestly, he turned his NBA paycheck into a venture capital war chest, proving that the greatest luxury is financial freedom. Number 7. Chris Paul, the point god of budgeting. Chris Paul is known as the point god for his uncanny ability to control the tempo of a basketball game, but his control over his personal balance sheet is even more legendary. Paul is the current face of financial literacy in the NBA, serving as a longtime president of the National Basketball Players Association, NBPA. His obsession with budgeting isn't just a quirk, it's a message he preaches to every rookie who enters the league. Paul's frugal mindset was cemented before he played a single minute of professional basketball. When he declared for the draft, the standard procedure for agencies was to offer a line of credit or an advance to potential top picks. His agents offered him a $100,000 advance, flash money intended to buy the obligatory draft suit, the jewelry, and the down payment on a luxury car. It is a trap that hooks players into debt before they earn a dime. Paul's parents intervened immediately. They advised him to reject the six-figure advance and take only $25,000. They told him bluntly, if he couldn't survive on $25,000 for a few months, he wasn't mentally ready to handle the millions that would follow. That lesson in delayed gratification defined his career. Even after earning hundreds of millions in salary, Paul remains notoriously careful with his spending. He is famous for buying clothes that don't carry designer price tags and emphasizes that time is the only asset you can't budget for. He urges younger players to look at the burn rate of their lifestyle. Chris Paul lives rich by refusing to let his lifestyle dictate his choices, proving that you can sign a max contract and still respect the value of a single dollar. Number 6. Jimmy Butler, the hustler in the minivan. Jimmy Butler is an enigma in the world of professional sports. He signs contracts worth hundreds of millions, yet he moves with the gritty energy of a man who is still trying to make rent. His frugality is not passive, it is performative and aggressive. Butler is famous for his disdain for the stupid tax, the extra money celebrities pay just to look important. For years, stories circulated about Butler driving a Toyota Sienna minivan. This wasn't because he couldn't afford a Bugatti. He owns high-end cars, but he frequently chose the minivan because of its utility and anonymity. In a minivan, nobody asks for money. In a minivan, you can navigate the city without the flashing lights of paparazzi. It was a strategic choice to live below the radar. But the absolute peak of his poor mindset occurred during the 2020 NBA bubble in Orlando. While other multimillionaire players were complaining about the amenities and the food, Butler saw a gap in the market. He realized there was no premium coffee available on the Disney campus. Using his own espresso machine and beans he brought in, he started Big Face Coffee. He operated out of his hotel room like a college dorm hustle. But here is the genius. He charged $20 for a cup of coffee. It didn't matter if it was a small, a medium, or a large. It didn't matter if you were a fellow superstar or a coach. The price was $20, cash only. He was grinding beans and obsessing over cash flow, genuinely excited about making a few $100s a day, despite earning over $30 million a year on the court. He didn't need the money, he needed the hustle. Butler lives below his means because he prefers the chase of making money over the boredom of spending it. Number 5. Carmelo Anthony, the coupon king. Carmelo Anthony is one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history. A future Hall of Famer, he has earned hundreds of millions in NBA salary alone, not to mention his lucrative signature shoe deal with Jordan Brand. He has the means to buy entire grocery store chains, let alone the groceries inside them. And yet, if you were to stand behind him in a checkout line, you might see him scanning a digital coupon. Melo has openly admitted in interviews, including a notable sit-down with CBS Sports, that he is a coupon clipper. To the outside observer, this seems absurd. Why would a man with a net worth rivaling the GDP of a small island nation care about saving 50 cents on paper towels or getting a discount on a box of cereal? The answer lies in his background. Growing up in Baltimore, Anthony saw how quickly money could vanish. That early exposure to scarcity created a permanent filter on his spending habits. For Melo, using a coupon isn't about the 50 cents. It's about the principle of value. It is a refusal to be overcharged simply because he has the capacity to pay. He advises younger players to count the pennies, searching for deals on hotels and essentials even when they don't have to. But don't mistake this for being cheap. It's about allocation. While he saves on groceries, he pours millions into Melo 7 Tech Partners, his venture capital firm that invests in digital media and consumer technology. Carmelo proves that true wealth is knowing when to spend big on equity and when to save small on eggs. He refuses to let the celebrity surcharge eat into his family's legacy. Number 4. Tim Duncan, the Oldsmobile icon. Tim Duncan is the patron saint of boring wealth. In a league of peacocks, Duncan was a tortoise, slow, steady, and armored against nonsense. His 19-year career with the San Antonio Spurs brought him 5 NBA championships and over $240 million in salary earnings. Yet, if you saw him at a gas station in San Antonio, you would assume he was an IT manager on his way to a casual barbecue. Duncan famously rejected the fashion runway culture of the NBA. He wore oversized flannel shirts and baggy jeans that looked like they were purchased from the clearance rack of a big box store. He didn't wear them to be ironic. He wore them because they were comfortable, and he saw no logic in replacing clothes that were still functional. His approach to cars was equally utilitarian but passionate. While his teammates were leasing the latest Bentleys and Rolls-Royces, Duncan was often seen driving a customized, but decidedly unflashy, Oldsmobile. This wasn't because he hated cars. In fact, he loved them so much he opened his own auto shop, Blackjack Speed Shop. But he viewed cars as machines to be worked on, not status symbols to be displayed. His poverty lifestyle was actually a masterclass in indifference. He simply did not care about the opinions of others. He didn't need a stylist. He needed a rebound. He didn't need a VIP section. He needed a quiet dinner. This lack of ego in his spending protected him from the sharks that circle NBA stars. Tim Duncan didn't just save money. He saved energy. He retired as one of the wealthiest players in history, not because he made the most, but because he spent the least on things that didn't matter. Number 3. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the scarcity survivor. For Giannis Antetokounmpo, living like he is poor isn't a financial strategy. It is a muscle memory. Growing up stateless and impoverished in Greece, he sold trinkets and DVDs on the streets of Athens just to help his family eat. That level of trauma wires the brain differently than any American superstar could understand. When he landed in the NBA, the sudden influx of millions didn't fix the trauma of poverty. It just amplified his fear of losing it all. The stories of his early frugality are legendary. In his rookie year, Giannis famously went to a Western Union to send all of his available cash back to his family in Greece. He sent so much that he didn't leave enough for a cab fare to the arena on game day. Realizing his mistake, he didn't call a limo service. He literally started running down the street toward the stadium until a couple of fans recognized him and gave him a ride. He didn't view his bank account as a bottomless pit. He viewed it as a miracle that could disappear if he blinked. Even after signing a Supermax contract extension in 2020 worth $228 million, Giannis maintained his cheap habits. He was famously caught on video celebrating a free smoothie, genuinely excited about saving a few dollars. He used to share basketball shoes with his brothers because he couldn't fathom owning multiple pairs. Giannis lives with a scarcity mindset in a world of infinite abundance. He constantly reminds himself that the luxury isn't guaranteed. He collects free water bottles from team facilities, not because he can't afford water, but because waste feels like a sin. He doesn't spend like a king. He spends like a survivor who remembers exactly what hunger feels like. Number 2. Kawhi Leonard, the gas guzzler. Kawhi Leonard is the ultimate glitch in the NBA matrix. He is a 2-time NBA champion, a 2-time Finals MVP, and a man who has signed contracts totaling well over $250 million. By any metric, he is NBA royalty. And yet, long into his superstar career, he he was still driving a rusted 1997 Chevy Tahoe. This wasn't a vintage car collection flex. This was his daily driver from his college days at San Diego State. He affectionately nicknamed it the Gas Guzzler. When asked by the media why a man earning over $20 million a year was driving a vehicle that belonged in a scrapyard, his answer was deadpan and perfect. It runs and it's paid off. That sentence sums up the entire philosophy of the richest frugal players. It works, so why change it? But the story gets even better. Kawhi Leonard, a man with a 9-figure net worth, once legitimately panicked because he lost his stash of coupons for Wingstop. He wasn't worried about the cost of the wings. He was stressed about losing the deal. He loves the mango habanero flavor, but he loves the value proposition even more. He approaches his finances with the same robotic, emotionless efficiency he uses to defend the best players in the world. No flash, no drama, no wasted motion. Kawhi Leonard lives in a tax bracket where he could buy a Wingstop franchise every week, but he prefers the satisfaction of getting a free meal because the coupon says he earned it. He proves that being rich doesn't mean you have to be wasteful. Number 1, LeBron James, the billionaire penny pincher. And finally, we arrive at the king. LeBron James is not just a rich basketball player. He is the first active NBA player to be officially certified as a billionaire by Forbes. He owns the Spring Hill Company, he has equity in Fenway Sports Group, owners of the Boston Red Sox and Liverpool FC, he owns pizza franchises, and he has a lifetime deal with Nike. His empire is vast, his reach is global, and his wallet is practically bottomless. And yet, he is arguably the cheapest player in the history of the league when it comes to small expenses. This isn't a rumor, it is a locker room fact confirmed by his best friend, Dwyane Wade. LeBron James, the man who could buy a streaming service outright, refuses to pay $4.99 a month for ad-free Pandora. He listens to commercials. He sits in the gym, lifting weights, waiting for a 30-second ad to finish rather than spending $5. But it goes deeper. LeBron famously refuses to turn on data roaming on his phone when he travels internationally. If there is no Wi-Fi, the king goes dark. He will walk around a foreign city, hunting for a free signal like a backpacker on a budget. Gabrielle Union, Dwyane Wade's wife, has joked about LeBron's refusal to use data, noting that he waits until he hits a Wi-Fi zone to send texts. He has admitted to being cheap with his personal day-to-day spending, despite donating tens of millions to charity and building an entire school for at-risk kids in Akron. And that is the ultimate lesson. LeBron James isn't cheap because he loves money. He's cheap because he hates waste. He understands that becoming a billionaire isn't just about the big checks you cash, it's about the millions of tiny leaks you plug. He treats $5 with the same respect he treats $5 million. He lives like he's poor in the small moments, so he can live like a king in the moments that change history. From Kawhi Leonard's rusted Tahoe to LeBron James's relentless battle against data roaming charges, these players prove that true wealth isn't about what you spend, it's about what you keep. Which of these frugal flexes impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe to Black Status for more deep dives into the mindset of the ultra-wealthy. We'll see you in the next one.